Hello, welcome to Beyond Talks. My name is Lucy.
And my name is Audrey.
And we are here to activate your passion.
Yes.
So anyway guys, welcome.
Yes.
So we are still carrying on from the previous episode that we had, and it is owning up to your own story.
Yeah.
And on that one we talked about why we are in denial of our own stories. And today's topic we are talking about.
Today we are talking about the benefits of you owning your story. Are you excited?
I am very excited.
Perfect.
I can't wait.
All right, let's get into it. So the benefits of owning your story is number one, it gives you focus. When you own your story, you are self-aware. Therefore, you know where you are. You know the things that you're supposed to deal with, which then helps you or enables you to navigate to where you want to go. Acceptance, when you've accepted and say, okay, this is where I'm at, you're now able to almost kind of like plan or to see these are the steps that I need to take for me to get to where I want to be.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Like when you own up to your story, one thing is that you have focus. Just imagine when you don't own up to your story, you're not focused, you're in fear, you're panicking, you're kind of like you're not settled. That's the word I'm looking for. You're not settled. But then it helps you to find clarity. It also enables you to understand, why did this have to happen to me? You know, is it because of this? Is it because of that? Some of our stories are because of like how our parents lived or the choices our parents made. You know, and it's nothing to do with you. Some of them are about our own choices and things we did, but there is a reason as to why you did those things. There is a reason as to why you went through that. And when you own up to that story and understand that it is part of you, it is yours, then it's easier to focus. You know, you find clarity with where you want to go.
Definitely. And like what you said, that it's almost kind of like, because you're in denial of the story, you're carrying a lot of burdens, a lot of things, trying to pretend, trying to create an image of something that you're not. So it's chaotic. There is so much conflict of the reality and the force of the things that you have created in your own head or that you're trying to pretend to be. So like what you said, that you know it brings peace. It brings peace. There's that release, and the experiences, you then being able to accept and say, okay, you're able to then reflect and look at the roots of those things that might have happened, right? The journeys, maybe you went through abuse. Where did it start from? Maybe you don't know that you actually were traumatized from it. So you accepting it will lead you to a place for you to then see the roots so that you can actually cut them off and you can deal with them, and then hopefully sow and plant a new plant in a fresh, unpolluted soil. Should we say that?
That's true.
Yeah.
And that takes us to the next point. That is, when you own up to your purpose, the other benefit is that you find peace. Just you find peace and hope.
Yeah.
You know, when you say, this is my story, you let people know that this is my story. You accept it, like you said, acceptance. When you accept that, you find there's a certain peace with you. Because when you don't own up to your story, you're in fear. Like you're worried. Like if people find out about what I went through, what if my job finds out about my story? What if this and that? It gets exposed or things like that. But the moment that you own up to your story and you're like, look, I went through this. You know, for example, I was in a gang. I did it. I did this and that and that and that. However, I don't wish to be that kind of person, and this is my story. It also, that drives me to a point, it also lets you own up to your power. You own up to your power because you're giving your power to other people, because the other power that you're giving to other people is the fear. The fact that they control your emotions of how you think. They're kind of like, I'm trying to frame this properly. It's like you're in constant fear of your story coming out. And that is giving your power to the people. But when you own up and you say, look, that's my story. That's what I went through. That is me. That's your power.
That's right. I hear what you're saying, that you know, because you are in pretendance and you're in fear of people figuring out, it's almost kind of like you then act to now start trying to please people and to hide that thing, you know, you're this facade. But like what you're saying, that when you have owned up, nobody will say anything that will trigger you. So you're just like, yeah, well, what do you have? Yes, it was my past. That is it. Like there is a power to you, actually, just a power to freedom. I think it's freedom. Like you not being worried about what other people have to say about you, because you are fine with you. I think that's what you're saying. Yeah.
Perfect. Like she just put it out properly and nicely. Because I'm that kind of person, I just get with information here, left, right, and it just overcloud. I'm like, how can I put this together and how can I piece it together? But that is absolutely true. And there is that peace, you know, even when you know that around you, let's say peace, you might be wondering like, what is peace? I think peace is knowing that things are okay even if there is storm around you. Like when there is a storm around you, if you feel that sort of peace and calmness
that
within
comfort.
yourself, that is like peace. You go to bed at night sleeping and knowing that it is okay. Not sleeping at night worried about what text message you're going to find when you walk into a job, who is going to find out what happened to you or this and that and that. Nah. But the moment you just kind of like lay out, like let loose, you know,
for sure,
you find some sort of peace.
So what's the other benefit? I think we were talking about uniqueness, being authentic, you know, that's your own journey, your own story. When you own up to it, it then links you, number one, to be able to connect and relate with other people who have similar stories to you. Do you want to just dive in and explain that a little bit more? Okay, so following up from that, we were talking about, you know, the benefits of owning up to your story is that it then enables you to be able to connect with other people who have similar stories or journeys to you. And I guess the fact that you have gone through that, it makes you unique. You're authentic. There is nobody like you. Do you want to dig deeper into that, please?
Yes. So from my point of view, if I may say, is that your story is unique to you. You know, we get to a point whereby sometimes when we explain to people, when we tell people about our stories or this and that, they tend to like sort of like be like, oh, only that, or that's what you've got. But the thing is that your story is custom made to you. It is your journey. Your story is not the same as my story. You know, your story is what makes you a unique person. That was your journey. Through that journey, you acquired certain skills. Those skills equip you for what is coming next in your life. Not in my life, in your life. And that's what makes you unique. It's the same as me as well. Like, if I have my story, it's what makes me unique. It's what makes you unique, because it gives you certain skills. That's why you find that some people in life, they're able to do certain things that you're not able to do, or they have acquired certain skills that you have not acquired. It's not because of luck, it's not because of I don't know why it is or this and that, but sometimes it's the experiences and the habits and the things that they decide to put themselves into, or the things that they have been through, you know, that enable them to have those skills. And that is unique, because even if you like it, it is bitter to say, it's hard to say, but you can never be like somebody else. It will never happen. You can try as much as you can, but you will never be like somebody else. And anything that you have in life is just unique to you. You know?
I love that your experiences that then enable you, or that give you tools that nobody else might have. They might have similar, but yours, it's different, it's unique. And I love that, because then when you've owned up your story and you've learned from those experiences that you have, I think that you're even now an advantage to wherever you go, where people haven't gone through what you've gone through, but you're able to bring something that is different, because you've gone through the process, you've been molded, you've been structured, you've grown from that thing, and then you can now apply what you've learned, and that can be something that is beneficial to other people or the environment or anything that it is. I love that.
That is very, very, like when you pointed out that point, it was a very, very good point, because that point can be, it's very broad, but just to make it a bit shorter, owning up to your own power, I mean your own story enables, it's a unique thing, so you have to sort of own up to it. That links to the next point that I wanted to say is, inspiration. Owning up to your own story can be an inspiration to others, because lots of us, we suffer in silence. It is a common thing. We have things, we keep them, we the mind is a very strong, powerful tool, because the mind will start a problem, it will solve the problem, and it will conclude the problem for you. It will do everything in your mind. But when you start, sharing with other people, it makes you feel like, oh, someone will come to you and tell you, oh my God, like what you said really inspired me. And you're wondering, how did it inspire you? Oops, there we go again. We're dealing with that. You wonder that, how has that inspired me? How has that got me to this point? But sometimes it's kind of like your journey, what you've explained, what you've said to someone, triggers something in them by enabling them to understand that, you know what? It's not just me.
Exactly.
Someone else out there is experiencing the same thing that I'm sort of experiencing, and if they can do it, then I can do it. So it's like owning up to your story can be an inspiration to other people. You don't even know, but it could be. There are very many people we can list down and say that their stories have inspired people that have inspired me as well. But imagine if they didn't share that story.
Exactly. And that is the whole point about Beyond Talks. The reason why we created this platform is so that there is that transparency. There is that platform that you can actually find and hear about different people's stories who are just being open for you to hopefully be able to relate, or if not to relate, but to learn and be inspired by their journeys and what they have been through. So just to sort of conclude, we all, hopefully we know the story of David in the Bible. If you're not a Christian, David was, a young shepherd boy, very handsome. I love it. It does say that in the Bible. I wish I was there and I could see how handsome he was. But well, in all seriousness, so David, he was a shepherd, but then later on in his stories, we know that he then became a king. But I'm going to share this story, when he was then sent by his father to go and visit his brothers who were at the war, who were battling to bring some certain things. So when they were there, that's when we all know that there was this giant, Goliath, who was basically an enemy of the Israelites, the people and they were fighting. But when David got there, everybody was terrified. Everybody, the Israelites, they were all terrified. They didn't want to fight against this Goliath because he was a giant, he was big, he was humongous, and everybody feared him. But the King Saul, he gave a promise, and he said that whoever that will be able to kill this man, they will receive certain awards. I think it was marrying his daughter, and another one, just taxes of Israel, and just a whole lot. There were good benefits. But my point is, David, he was a shepherd and he was young. He was a young boy. Even so that when King Saul heard that there is a young boy called David who said that he is willing to defeat or to fight with Goliath, he called him into his presence. And when he came, he said, but you're only a boy. You're only a shepherd. You are not trained for the war. You're not equipped for you to fight. And do you know what David said? He said, when I was in the field, when I was busy shepherding my sheep and protecting them, I tear down a lion and a bear with my own bare hands. So here we see that David, he didn't look down upon himself because that he said, oh, I'm only young, I'm only a shepherd. He was content and he accepted the journey where he was, that even his experiences while he was a shepherd, he then used those to be able to fight Goliath. And then from there, we then see that, Saul said, okay, if you say so, we're going to give you this gathered, the uniform, the attire for him to go and fight and go in war. But we see that, when he took this equipment, this stuff, the uniform, it was too heavy for him. Because he knew himself and his journey and the type of person, like what we said, owning your stories, it brings focus. It lets you know who you are and where you want to go. Yeah. He knew that I cannot go into the battle with these things, with this baggage. I cannot do that. And he went in his own attire. He took a few stones, and I think it was a sling, and he went, and then he was able to defeat Goliath. So long story cut short, David owned up his story. He did not look down upon himself. What people were looking down upon him, that he's an unexperienced young boy, a shepherd. He used the experience that he had when he was a shepherd, and he used those to fight this Goliath. And it just goes to show that, listen, don't look down upon yourself. When you're on your story, those things that you are going through, the experiences, you never know those things that you have acquired, where you have to apply them in the future. So believe and trust in the process. You know, your character is being built, and yes, it's painful. Like what we said last time, it's painful. We are embarrassed, we are ashamed, but I'm telling you, if you do not heal, you cannot grow. If you do not accept who you are, you do not grow. So as we are excited to share the stories, we really wanted to start with own your story. Just own your story.
Own your story.
Be comfortable with it. Don't let it define you, but be comfortable with how far you have come from, or how far you've gone, and have the hope and be inspired that there is more to come. You know, there is more. I'm going to write my story to where I want it to be. Lucy, do you have anything to encourage us before we close?
Amen and amen. That was a sermon on its own, okay? Yes. Just to start from there, it was a sermon on its own. But from what you said, it is very, very encouraging. It doesn't matter, you know, how big the situation seems, like how many things are coming on you, how many, you know, left or right. You know, sometimes you just feel like the story is coming over and over and over again. We'll have, I think, we haven't yet talked about it, but it's just come in my head, like cycle of life, like living in the same cycle every now and then. How to try and break a cycle, you know, and come out.
Maybe that should be our next episode.
We can do that, like breaking a cycle. Yeah.
I like that, because cycles again.
Yeah.
The reason why we keep on going round and round in loops is because we haven't dealt with something that we're supposed to move over. And I believe that we are Christians, so we're related to God. I believe that God, until you have learned what he wants you to learn, you will not go on to the next level, because he loves us so much that he's like, my child, I want you to have this thing so that you're equipped enough, so that that blessing, that stage where I'm taking you to, will not be a curse, but it will be a blessing. But until you have learned what you're supposed to learn in that season, you will forever go round and round and round.
To be honest, so it's kind of like just be comfortable. It's not easy to own up to your story. It is pain. It is pain, and it is heavy. But when you start taking it off, you know, one after the other, it really helps. Talk to a friend, you know what? Watch people, or relate to people, or you know, slowly and slowly, just kind of like you don't have to tell everyone your whole story, but you can say parts of it, you know, parts of it, and just let it go. And from there, you'll find peace. You'll find clarity. You know, you can be able to inspire. You know, definitely. You can be able to grow as a human being. Like I was saying, the point of a cycle, when you are in a cycle, you cannot grow. You cannot, because you're going in a loop. You're going round and round, and you're wondering every single day. This I'm saying it to my own self, because this is what happens. I'm like, every single day, this is what is happening. I feel like I'm not moving from here. I feel like I'm stuck. But take a step back. Look at where you've come from, what is around you, what maybe you're not owning up, the pain, the things, why you're not accepting, what you're fighting, what you're going against. And then from there, you can be able to understand and break through that cycle, like break through that cycle. So yeah, it's very, very, I've liked talking about this, because me to myself, I'm sort of thinking to myself, I'm like, did those words come out of your mouth? They came out of your mouth because they are speaking to you as well. So I'm finding healing as well as while we're talking. This, you know? And like what she said before, that you sharing, you finding people that you can trust. You know, it's very important to be surrounded with people that you can be transparent with. But the more that you speak out about it, the more that you find relief and release. I guess you can release. Relief and release.
and you just feel, you just feel relieved. So yeah, but that's it for this time, guys.
That's it.
We'll surely be coming back. Please continue subscribing on all our podcasts, our YouTube channels, and of course check us on Instagram and on Facebook. Please let us know where you're from, where you're listening from.
Ooh.
And if there is anything that you guys would like us to talk about, topics that you want us to deal with, please definitely do share them. And even if you have a story, if your story, you think that your story will be able to inspire people, anyways, everybody's stories will do, isn't it?
Everybody's story will do.
Please send your stories, and we surely would love, hopefully, to be able to showcase and inspire people with your journey and your story, because you owned your story.
And that is just, everything she said is just magical. It's just absolutely beautiful. She just said it.
Oh my god.
She just said it so nicely, and I'm like, what else can I top up with that? Like, I can do that, but it's like, yes, thank you so much for watching this. As you know, it has been owning up to your own story. We're gonna have a lot of stories to come up, and like we say, this is real life stories and real life journeys and stuff like that. Over a couple of weeks, we're going to be having a lot of conversations with so many beautiful people that we have lined up. So we're gonna have those discussions and conversations, and you'll be able to see people. And we are not going ahead and choosing like the biggest people. We're starting with people you probably don't even know, you probably haven't even followed, but by you just seeing them, seeing their stories, seeing where they are, I'm telling you, like, my sister over here, she literally showed me a lot of people, like a lot of amazing people, and I was like, wow, wow.
Listen,
so
one thing that I'm excited, you guys cannot miss it, because literally we have stories, day to day. People, I guess, is that even a word? No, I'm not even going to say it. Everybody, we are special, we are unique. Whether whatever level you are at, even if you're a teacher, even if you are this and that, even if you're a celebrity, you have a story, and that story is worth to be shared. So we are even privileged and excited to be able to showcase the stories for you guys. So stay tuned and see you soon.
Stay tuned, see you soon, bye.